All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself. I'm Jason Whitlock. That is Marcellus Wiley, that dude.
Yes, sir.
Coming up, we'll tell you if Cam Newton could be the perfect partner for Antonio Brown.
And why Colin Kaepernick could be making his football comeback in the XFL. But we start every day with a Whitlock. What you got today, big dog?
You can't accuse LeBron James of false advertisement. He wears his indifference to basketball on the front of his chest. LeBron's goal of proving to the world that he's more than an athlete is admirable, but it's poison for the organization, paying him $35 million this season to play basketball. The Los Angeles Lakers are footing that bill. If I were Jeannie Buss, I'd want a rebate or perhaps even a refund. Hollywood James is disinterested. He's leading the NBA in finger-pointing, matador defense, and off-the-court side hustles. Last night, the 24-38 Memphis Grizzlies took advantage, beating the Lakers and dropping LeBron's squad 2 games below 500 and into 10th place in the West. With just 22 games left to play, I know someone who looks pretty prophetic. This season is going to be an epic failure. The main thing isn't the main thing, and that's never a good thing. It's going to diminish James's standing among his peers who still prioritize basketball over everything. The Lakers are a 500 club this year and no closer to unseating the Warriors next offseason. Now, you can be like King James and blame all this on his supporting cast. He keeps whining that his young teammates aren't fully focused and invested in basketball. He appears oblivious to the fact he isn't focused or invested either. Tired of pursuing Michael Jordan's legacy, the chosen one has fixated on a more attainable target. Jay-Z, media mogul, brand ambassador, pop culture darling, black Twitter icon, political puppet. LeBron is bored with athletics. That's why he's branded himself as more than an athlete. He's a talk show host, a public intellectual, an educator, a social justice warrior, a wine connoisseur, and now a rap music producer. Yesterday, the rapper 2 Chainz and Apple Music released a 1-minute behind-the-scenes hype video featuring LeBron's work on 2 Chainz' newest album, Laker Boys Like Trap Music. Okay, that's not the name of the album, but take a peek at the video.
I'm rare, I'm rare, I'm rare. Like a $2 bill, like a $2 bill, like a $2 bill, like a $2 bill.
Y'all shooting that video?
According to the timestamp on that video, that was shot just before midnight on February 1st, approximately 17 hours before the Lakers tipped off a Saturday night game against the Golden State Warriors. LeBron skipped the game, blaming load management. He did not mention drinking wine and writing rhymes with 2 Chainz as part of his load mismanagement. The greatest player in the game skips a contest against the greatest team in the game, and you wonder why the young Lakers aren't fully focused and invested? Really? There's no mystery here. Lakers great James Worthy said there's a virus within the team. It's indifference. LeBron has it, and it is spread to the rest of the team. The danger for Magic Johnson and the Lakers is it won't be easy snapping LeBron out of his basketball indifference next season. LeBron is a social media animal. He has 47 million Instagram followers and 42 million Twitter followers. Those are the platforms and the stages he performs on most passionately. It's no longer a basketball court. Social media has hacked LeBron's hardwiring. Good luck to Magic, Adam Silver, and the NBA in their attempt to recode their most important asset. All right, joining the desk now, a pair of former NBA champions, Dante Jones and Matt Barnes. Marcellus, let's start with you. Has LeBron become bored with basketball?
No, absolutely not. Not the right word, not the right terming of what LeBron's going through right now. Like many of players, especially in the latter stages of your career, no matter what your success is in that moment or previous, your eyes are a little bigger than your stomach, and you start to make some miscalculations in terms of what you can take on because you're a veteran. The ego starts to grow to a place where you're like, I could do this endeavor, and still be me. But the problem is Father Time's undefeated, correct? So when you still are you, LeBron, which is amazing in work ethic and production, you have to be even more of that same LeBron to be the same LeBron because you're 34 right now. So this is Kobe 2.0 without all the optics of effort. One, they gave LeBron a 4-year contract, and they knew that he was going to tackle more things than just on the court. But that's what the Lakers are based on. Showtime 2.0. They always been an entertainment-based product talking about championships on the court.
Kobe was making rap albums.
Kobe had a song out when he first got in the league. Remember that? Him and what do you mean?
No,
Song
he made a
out?
whole
It was
album.
horrible. He shouldn't make an album after that one song. It was horrible. You hear that song with him and Tyra? Never mind. And this is the same thing that LeBron is going to go through right now. When you take on all those things, as I've told you before.
Talk show host.
Look, I don't care what it is. Look, I was a DJ my rookie year. Not a problem in the world. I was DJing the owner's party.
Talk show.
Not a problem. I had a talk show as well. I did everything until them sacks started disappearing. And then all of a sudden, damn it, what is Marcellus up to? So you can climb up the hill with all this on your back, LeBron, you can stay at the top. But when you start to show any decline, we're going to blame this. So LeBron James is just in the same conversation as many athletes before him. You're biting off a little more than you could chew.
Bored? You don't think he's bored?
I don't think he's bored. I think, good point, he may have bit off more than he can chew. But I love the fact that more of an athlete, that's just what today is. You know, you want to take advantage of off the court as long as on the court stays his first focus. I think more than anything right now is you're just seeing father time. You're seeing him coming off his first significant injury of his career. You know what I mean? And then to be thrown back in the fire like, okay, we got to make this push now. I'm going to turn that superhuman button on. But he's coming off an injury he's never had. He's never sat out this many games. A completely new team that they just completely try to throw the whole team away. So now you got to convince all these guys you just tried to trade that I'm with you, I believe in you, we're on this same page, let's make these playoffs. So I just think the team is on islands right now. But it's, you know, like I said, I don't take anything away from him.
You watched last night's game.
Defense.
Yes.
I said earlier on the earlier show, I mean, my only knock on LeBron is just I'm not asking you to guard the best player anymore, but I'm asking you to be a better team defender, make that second,
That's
third
not boredom?
effort. No, that's just effort.
That's effort, and that's all it is effort at the end of the day. Effort. It's giving some of yourself to your teammates and making that extra play and leading by example. His team defense is poor right now, and we have to address that and note that. It's poor, but you can't say somebody's bored with basketball when he went out there and had 24, 12, and 11. Like, I think we're getting numb to his performances, and you can't go having triple-double, a 20-point triple-double and say somebody's bored. He's averaging 27, 9, and 8 for the year. That's not somebody bored with basketball. Now, is he not doing what he's supposed to be on defense? Yes, you can address that. Did they take 2 losses they weren't supposed to? Yes, you can address that. But it's not boredom by no means. He has a lot on his plate. You're absolutely correct. But he's also producing. 27, 9, and 8 is not a bored performance. Like, I couldn't do it. 96% of the NBA couldn't do it. Right. I think you get numb with his talent and you don't pay attention to actually what he's doing.
Based on LeBron's standards.
He has an average 27, 9, and 8.
He's not giving any effort on defense.
Right.
He's not giving the appropriate effort on defense. Does he give some?
So he's lazy,
he picks
not
it.
bored.
No, he doesn't believe in what he's about and what he's a part of. When you don't believe in them, it actually starts to affect you. You start to say, why give 100% for this? Because I know what the end game is going to look like. And guess what they start thinking? You don't even believe in me. So why should I give 100% to you? Because I'm not going to be here to materialize this. And you just sitting there with that seesaw effect.
I think one thing he did a great job in with Cleveland was he made everyone believe in themselves, first of all, and believe in him and buy into the story and the narrative they were trying to pursue throughout the career. Throughout the season. This season hasn't been that way. Like I said, that trade deadline really put a fracture in that locker room. And Dante, and you can attest this too, locker room chemistry is a huge part of your success on the court, and they don't have that right now.
And I don't think they have the appropriate chemistry for a LeBron James team. And mind you, and Matt can attest to this too, like when you get to a certain part in your career, you're just doing different things than when you're doing at the beginning of your career. And when you have a majority of your locker room a certain age, and the back end is where your best player sits at, how do we communicate? How do we develop a relationship if we live two separate sets of lives? If you got kids, you have responsibilities, and they just have video games. Like, I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but you cannot develop some sort of bond that translates on the court.
The guy is supposed to be the GOAT of his sport, or in the conversation. He's supposed to be the Tom Brady of his sport. I'm looking at a 41-year-old Tom Brady who's not bored, who's not bothered, or seems to be adapting to the fact that he's far
waiting for you
older
to
than
say
all
that.
of his teammates. Again, y'all.
Wait.
I just don't. Boredom is a better explanation. Y'all just calling him lazy and a dog.
You can't bring Tom Brady into any equation by bringing him to singularly. You got to bring Bill Belichick with him. He sets the tone for the locker room and the players. Tom Brady
have to
is
bring
not
an
the
attitude
only
to
leader there.
embrace
Bill
the
cuts
coach
most
to
of
have
the
a
stuff
Belichick.
out.
Keep in mind, this is a completely new team, new everything. You know what I mean? Like I said, chemistry isn't built in one season. That's why I gave LeBron a pass at the beginning of the season. I didn't expect too much out of them. You know, I
he
thought they
picked
would do
these
better.
moves.
I thought they would do better, but at the same time, like they're fighting to get to the playoffs, the AC for what? To have 2 extra weeks to play Golden State and then
Yes,
take a vacation.
Okay, let me try this.
Oh, no, your Tom Brady point. I want to stick to that.
Go ahead.
Please.
TB12, Facebook Live, all that stuff
All
is
that's
new.
synergy.
But you know what? No.
That's synergy
When you-
with playing the game.
As
But go
soon
ahead.
as you fall down one step or farther, and Tom Brady had, by his standards, not a successful year by his numbers. He won the Super Bowl, and yes, I give him respect. But by his own standards of play,
41.
okay, that's my point.
LeBron's
So if you don't win a
31.
Super Bowl, guess what happens? The articles that they wrote about him last year, those start
He
to
won
pile
the Super
up.
Bowl though, so we don't.
Oh
have to
yeah,
talk
I'm not
about that.
dissing them.
Okay, let me try this. Let me try this. The night before they played Golden State, the second game back from his injury, he sits out. How do you think that plays? Even if you take 2 Chainz and doing the rap album the night before out of it, how does that message play with his teammates, the young guys?
But you have to realize he's coming off an injury that
What if-
kept him
oh,
out longer than that. But I'm saying the night before, didn't he play an overtime game? Like he played 40-something
more minutes
minutes
than he
his
was supposed
first
to.
game back. You don't want to throw him back in the fire, especially if the goal is to try to make the playoffs. They know probably regardless, they probably weren't going to beat the worst, and now why not hold him back? Because everyone wanted them to see the
Everybody
Warriors.
in that locker room sees it your way. The young guys. You're pushing 40 or, you know, and you're
39, right.
39. You're talking the 22, 23. Brandon Ingram sees it that way.
They may not understand, but you got to also think when LeBron sits down, that's when other guys think, I'm going to get my numbers tonight. So they're probably not tripping too much.
Well, to your point, if you're a young guy in the locker room, this is how you could take it the wrong way or differently than Matt and Dante would. You can sit there and say, wait a minute, one, you've been hurt all this time, and then you came back, and then now you're saying that you can't play because you need to rest. Well, then why don't you rest? A lot of fans say that. I think it's nonsense, but a lot of players could be thinking that. But then you could double down on that thought and say, damn, Lonzo's a rapper. Lonzo got an album out. And the first time you want to just go and bop with somebody, you don't even want to bop with your teammate in any respect. You're going to go with 2 Chainz. So what it does is shows dual reality. Like, we get graded on a different scale than you, LeBron. When we're injured and then we come back, we're expected to go maximum effort. You come back, it's going to still be this reserved effort. They may be looking at 2 different ways that the same things
He's
are
earned
being
that, though.
translated.
At the
He
same time,
has.
he's earned that.
But
Right.
when you're watching film study with a vet, and I played with some vets when they're coming down the hill,
There's no
you start to
question.
say,
Oh, there's no question. Like I said, I think you see it mostly. All the off-the-court BS, whatever, to me, it's just a little bit more effort on defense. His offensive numbers are just like they normally are. And like I said, his ability to possibly get that team all back on the same page.
Do we have the highlight of the 3-point shot at the end of the game that basically closed out the game? Y'all the former basketball players, if you're in the film room, that's LeBron's man that's shooting this 3.
Terrible.
And look,
It's
Terrible.
effort.
Terrible,
It's just
right,
effort.
right.
It's
That's
effort.
all it is, effort.
It could be a miscommunication, but it's effort. And I'm
think it's
taking
effort.
that as
I
effort.
don't care. That's the only way I would interpret that as a teammate. This dude don't even care.
how about worse than that? When they get to the free throw line, LeBron's there, and it's a 4-point game, 2 possession. All you got to do is make a free throw to make it 1 possession. He bricks it, and then next thing you know, you don't see the effort,
Everybody
and you
misses
brick
shots.
No, well,
This
LeBron
right
always
here-
misses those shots in clutch moments.
There's
in
just
free
no,
throw.
there's no
Always?
excuse, there's no excuse for this right here. You know what I mean?
the
Like I
Lakers?
said, that's the one thing you can, if you want to nitpick LeBron, it's his effort on defense. You know, but like you said, he said he's only 34, but in basketball years, he's probably about 41 with all the miles he's logged in the playoff games and All-Star teams and Olympic
That's
teams.
not indifference.
But one
to win it, he doesn't care.
Activated. I thought he was activated.
one thing that you have to deal with on him is you have to find different ways to motivate and reach him for his deficiencies, because I've never sat on here and said that he doesn't have deficiencies. I wait for you to pick them out. That is one of them. His effort on defense at times, And then it's your responsibility of your staff to reach him and let him know this and be able to call him out. If you don't have the right person be able to hold him accountable for things like this,
can do that in that locker
there's
room.
nobody right now that can hold him accountable for things that way. That's been my whole point at this point.
Who's been holding LeBron accountable his whole career? Only LeBron. That's the reality.
Yeah.
See, when you have success, you take the gas off of certain things, and that's what your staff is supposed to do to keep you accountable at all points and times. He's had so much success that he still needs somebody to. You're misunderstood to think that all athletes coach themselves. By no means.
No, I don't.
Because Tom Brady gets being held accountable by Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's letting him know when he's not holding up to the standard as the quarterback. Because he probably does have deficiencies. We just don't get a chance to see him. He has somebody that's holding him accountable.
Did we misunderstand what activated meant? Because you came up here and defended it. You said, "Oh, now he's going to get into a different cycle of the season, and his phases."
Right. So I say yes. I said that's an effort conversation. He's wrong.
What does activated mean? It means I'm about to give you a different level of intensity and effort. No.
Right. So we need him.
Why is he contradicting his own self?
They need him to be a superhuman right now, and he's just being regular old LeBron. So yes, he's not doing.
That's regular old LeBron, not guarding his man at all.
You cannot take a game into one play. I'm sorry.
There's a bunch of other highlights
I got some
in this
more.
game.
And that was deficiency in that game for the most part of this season. His team defense, his effort on team
That's
defense.
the one
You're
thing, if
absolutely
you want to knock
correct.
him, is on defense, and especially as a leader, you want to most of the time lead by example. I know I never got a chance to play with LeBron. I played against him plenty of times, but with Kobe, you never had to tell him nothing. You knew no matter what, and he wasn't a vocal leader. He was one that would just give you that look, like you better be on. You know what I mean? So I don't know how playing with LeBron works, but I know playing with Kobe is he did it on both ends every single night. Every single night.
And I just because everybody here, y'all married, there's a couple of y'all married, everybody's been in relationships. There's different ways to spot indifference in a relationship. And a lot of times it's in the details. It's not in the big things. And so LeBron's going to put up his 26 points. He's going to grab the rebounds. He's going to get the assist. But it's the effort things that, to me, show the indifference.
I'm going to buy you the cars. I'm going to get you the flowers. Okay, what time is it?
Every
All right, let's go
holiday,
out
I'm
to
going to
eat.
be right there,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
but
blah.
you're not giving me eye contact no more. You ain't rubbed my shoulder in 2 weeks.
It's the little things. You know what I mean? In defense, it's the little
but
things. The extra effort on defense is what separates teams, those rotations. Maybe if he doesn't get out there, whoever's in the corner, instead of stunning up, takes him, LeBron X's out. But that still takes LeBron making a little bit of extra effort and not just standing in the feet.
All right, welcome back, Whitlock and Wiley. We're joined now by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. Time for a big story. Let's move to Pittsburgh, where Antonio Brown is definitely on his way out of town, but where he ends up is anyone's guess. Now Peter King suggests that the Carolina Panthers could be the perfect landing spot for the receiver, since new owner David Tepper is a former part owner of the Steelers, and because Cam Newton is in desperate need of a downfield threat. The question here is, would Antonio Brown fix Cam Newton? And while I think this is something Carolina should pursue, I don't think it would fix Cam Newton. Cam Newton has to fix himself. His footwork, his technique have to be better. Antonio Brown won't solve that. Antonio Brown could put a spotlight on the problems more so than help Cam Newton.
So you're going to really ride with this fix Cam Newton, like Cam Newton's broke down. Oh, AB's a surgeon. He's going to fix Cam Newton, because that's the only thing wrong with Cam Newton. If you look at Cam Newton, he tried to play through injury and still posted his highest career completion percentage.
They made the playoffs.
There we go.
They
there
did.
They go. So sorry, quarterbacks that make the playoffs, they're great. And then the ones who don't make it, oh, damn it.
Nah, I'm not saying that.
Okay, second highest passer rating in his career. Cam Newton and AB will be a marriage made in heaven. I will go there. I will say that if you give him AB, it's going to be fireworks on and off the field, must-see television. And Cam Newton, if he is going to come back fully healthy at the beginning of the season, Antonio Brown will give him the deep threat that he needs. No disrespect to DJ Moore and Devin Funchess, but they weren't able to take the top off the defense consistently like AB would be able to. And then you pair him with Christian McCaffrey, now you have the trifecta you need in that offense.
Yeah, as far as fixing Cam Newton is concerned, Cam Newton went a long way to fixing himself last year with Norv Turner, talking to both of those guys, doing a Carolina Panthers game.
For 8 games?
Well,
for 8 games?
For 8 games, but he had a shoulder surgery or shoulder issue where Dave Tepper, their owners, actually said, we might sit you for the 2019 season. That's how significant it was. He missed a throw. I called a game against Cleveland. I called 2 games. A game in Cleveland where he had somebody down the field wide open for a touchdown. He couldn't throw it more than 35 yards. Ended up getting picked off.
Yeah.
That's how bad his shoulder was last year. Now, understanding mechanically what he had to fix, understanding more of the anticipatory nature of football, and essentially understanding offense. One thing about Cam Newton, talent's wasted on talented people. And one of the issues that Cam Newton had is he's so physically gifted that he could get away and still be an MVP without truly understanding all that he needed to understand about playing the quarterback position. And he has taken it upon himself to fix that aspect of his game. 67% completion percentage throughout the entirety of last season. I think he started 14 games, and he played half of those games completely injured where he couldn't practice during the week. So I don't think it's so much about fixing Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton's gone a long way to fixing some of his issues. And the biggest part of this, to be able to fix those things, you have to understand that you have an issue. And I think that's where Norv Turner came in and really changed the way Cam Newton thought about the game. Would Antonio Brown fit with what they're doing and the weapons they have? Shoot, Antonio Brown is a freak show. You know what needs to be fixed? And I'll tell you who can fix it. Ron Rivera can fix Antonio Brown because he's not going to put up with the baloney that Mike Tomlin put up with. And that's where that marriage would work in my mind.
That's a great point. I just want, as someone who I think watched virtually all of Cam's games, because I love to watch Cam play, and he did. First 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season, I was on here.
Right.
MVP level.
Yeah.
God, Christian McCaffrey's been awesome. And adding Antonio Brown to that mix would be awesome. However, and again, maybe it was all because of the shoulder injury. The second half of the season, he was inaccurate quite too often. And again, obviously, the obvious shoulder problems prevented him from throwing it downfield. And look, I would pursue this in a heartbeat. This would be awesome for Cam. But there is some risk. Antonio Brown playing with Ben Roethlisberger, a guy that, regardless of whether they get along or not, Ben knows how to get AB the ball, and he does it often. If Cam somehow isn't as accurate, doesn't get him the ball on time the way Ben did, Antonio Brown's not a guy that's going to go quietly into the night. And look, the Panthers moved on from Steve Smith, an outspoken diva-type receiver, because they wanted Cam to have the freedom to throw the ball wherever the defense dictated. And so, again, there could be some sparks here. You just never know.
Well, there's a different level of cover and comfort when you talk about the Carolina Panthers. Over the years, their players have been able to have full expression on the field. You could talk about Cam Newton and all the issues that some fans have with him, but it was in effort of an organization that supported Cam Newton and let him have full expression. I think that's going to play well if AB's on that team, because there were times where now all of a sudden the owner mentality of your quarterback starts to creep into your locker room, and you have issue with that. I don't see Cam Newton and AB butting heads like that. Also, your ownership, who was a part of the ownership group with the Pittsburgh Steelers, can easily play on that human capital saying, hey, I was there. I saw the bad from their side, and I saw some of the things that you need to edit. But I'm here to take some of those hits with you. And then being down there in Carolina, that country, the way that they look at it is almost like a collegiate experience. Like, they rally for each other. And it's a little different, not on the island from the NFL, but certainly a little exempt from all the criticism.
I will say this about Rivera, and that's really what it comes down to, is he holds his guys accountable. Yeah. And, he was a player. I played against him. He was part of that Bears organization that had one of the great defenses we've ever seen. Ron was a backup player in that, and he became a starter later on in his career. He was a really good player, but he is one of those guys that will hold you accountable. And Antonio Brown has been allowed to be a diva in Pittsburgh. He has been allowed by Mike Tomlin, as has Ben Roethlisberger. They have allowed that kind of behavior, and I just don't believe that Ron Rivera is going to go down that road.
All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. Mark Schlereth is back. Let's move to Colin Kaepernick, whose settlement with the NFL last week kickstarted talk about a possible NFL comeback. but it looks like the quarterback could make his football comeback in a different league. Just a couple of weeks after reports surfaced that Kaepernick asked the Alliance of American Football for $20 million. Now the XFL has confirmed that Kaepernick has also asked for $20 million to join Vince McMahon's revamped league. I don't think that Kaepernick has any interest in playing in either one of these leagues. I think all of this is just a long negotiation with the NFL. I think the NFL leaked the AAF $20 million demand as a way to pressure Kaepernick into the settlement. And now I think Kaepernick's people have leaked the negotiations with the XFL, and we still want $20 million. I say the settlement was really about a promise being made that Kaepernick's going to re-enter the NFL, and now there's just a dispute about at what price point. And, the NFL has no interest, justifiably, in paying Kaepernick $19, $18, $20 million a year to come back when he's been on the bench for 2 seasons. But Kaepernick's like, hey, man, it's what y'all play Blake Bortles.
Right.
Oh, why can't I get it?
Look, if I'm in Kaepernick's camp, I hope he goes to the XFL right now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to buck the trend and they're going to buck the optics of whatever the NFL is doing. They're already talking about it when they're talking about the age restriction and maybe taking that away and saying, hey, straight out of high school, if you're ready to go get it, let's go get it. You talk about some of the unconventional rule changes. We even have the overhead cam that came from the XFL originally. So Vince McMahon knows when he sees an attraction and it's going to be entertainment-based. And this is right on brand for Colin Kaepernick because if you're going to have that freedom, it makes sense to go there and maybe even drive the price up or the opportunity greater in the NFL. Respect to the AAF, but it's starting to look and try to mirror itself as a minor league to the NFL. This is our second string of the NFL, and hopefully these guys get that opportunity. But it's not going to have the same sizzle as XFL. So on brand, I think it makes sense for Kaepernick.
I look at a $20 million demand from the XFL, who's looking to pay its quarterbacks about $250,000 a year, is a way of saying I don't want to play in the league. I don't want to I don't want to play anywhere. I mean, I think about this. Like, what's the end game? Do you want to be a football player or do you want to be an activist? And what's better, if you want to be an activist, what's better for you? To be a martyr? To be ousted from a league? To sue the league? To settle? That allows you, like if you go back in the NFL and you're a backup, guess what? All of a sudden, you're back in. Are you still an activist? Do you still have that role? Do you still carry the same voice? This is pricing yourself out of the market. I'm going to ask for something that's completely unrealistic, knowing that I'm not going to get it. And guess what? It keeps me in the limelight to be an activist. And if you want to be an activist, good for you. That's awesome. Like, you have raised the awareness. People have thought about this. People have talked. We've talked about it for 2 years now, right? You've raised that level. You've raised that bar. I just don't think you want to play anymore.
I disagree with that. I say this because there's another lane called I want to play football at proper value. Now, remember, with any upstart, any startup, whether you're talking about technology or just this new league, when you get in early, what do you get? You get an equity compensation or you get a higher pay rate. You get more than you deserve based on name and attraction and what you're going to give us to get this thing going. So XFL wants to make a splash. If you want to make a splash, maybe it's absurd, or if there's only the monopoly of the NFL in existence. But now there's not. And Vince McMahon has deep pockets, and he is entertainment focused. So maybe it makes sense in that to even start the negotiation, maybe at a higher rate.
I'm going to tell you why I disagree, Mark. Again, I think it's just all a negotiation with the NFL. I think the dude really does want back in the NFL. But if you lower your price in any league, they go, you would accept $4 million to play in the XFL, but this $5.5 million we offering you over here in the NFL ain't enough.
Right.
So again, he's got one price.
Yeah.
You want me to play football? It's $20 million. I'll come to Canada. I'll come to the AAF.
Europe.
Pay this $20 million.
Yeah.
And I'll come because it's a negotiation with the NFL, in my view. Now, by having the negotiation with the NFL that $20 million is my price, he may be communicating, I don't want to play. because I think it would be foolish for any NFL team to give any quarterback that's set out, and I don't care what the reason is, injury or because you were blackballed, if you set out of the league for 2 years,
Right.
short of being Deion Sanders coming back at 31, I'm not paying anybody $20 million.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, if you lower your price, they're going to lower their price. And then next thing you know, where's my proper value? He needs an opportunity, and he also wants it at the right price point. That's flexible. But right now, I think it makes sense
Well,
for XFL.
I suppose you have to understand, or you have to come to grips with what the right price point is. I mean, that's really what we come down. I look at $20 million, and I look at what Colin Kaepernick was when he left the league. He's not worth that. He's not, I mean.
Subjectively, some say yes and some say no.
Well,
is he a starter? If he's a starter, then $20 million is the asking price.
Well, yeah, but I don't think anybody looks at him. From my perspective, talking to guys in the NFL, I don't think people look at him as a starter.
In a
and I
league
think
where
before the whole
Lawrence
kneeling
Jackson is
incident,
starting?
by the way, before the kneeling incident, he had a deal in Denver before at $7 million a year, and he wouldn't take it.
Right.
And so, like, again, understanding what your value is. Like, heck, we'd all like to make 10 times what we're making right now, right?
And I should. But
But again, it has to do with what the market bears.
Not what you work, what they're going to pay you. But they pay him $20 million. We have seen other guys get $20 million who didn't necessarily
Mark.
Right, no, I get that part of it.
To me, $5 million is the right price for a guy that's been sitting out. But if we go back and play out your scenario, in Kaepernick's mind, coming off that year in San Francisco and looking at Case Keenum get $18 million and some of the other guys, he's sitting there saying, hey, man, if we go dial it back 2 years, I'm worth $18 million as a starter somewhere. Maybe a bad team.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm worth. That's his argument. I think he's wrong. I think he's delusional. But that is his mentality.
At some point, you know, it's funny, when I was calling the Baltimore game, went to Baltimore, and I said, hey, where's RG3? And they're like, who? Oh, you mean Robert? Like, Robert had to humble himself to the point where he's a third-string quarterback, get his opportunity to get back in the league. And you're going to probably have to, if you want to get back into that opportunity, say, I'm going to humble myself to get back, give myself an opportunity to be a backup, fight for that starter's money, sign a 2-year deal, play through that 2-year deal, prove my worth, and then go make that $20 million a year. But right now, if you think somebody in the NFL is going to give you $20 million a year to play quarterback when you've been out for 2 years and you were questionable as a starter in the first place, I think that's a pipe dream. That to me is, I don't really want to play.
But you got to think about the comps. I mean, go real estate in it. It's not necessarily how nice I think the house is. Did that house that I don't even think is that good sell for X? Well, guess what? I have now become X.
But X has been on the market the whole time. I mean, X has been playing the whole time. Like the X factor here while he's been sitting out.
Ryan Tannehill, Blake Bortles, $20 million.
House Y has termites. Ain't nobody been in it in 2 years, and then they won't even unlock the door to let you look around.
Listen, man, when you don't live in a house for 2 years, I'm telling you, we don't live in a house, and all of a sudden it's infested by cats. You're like, man, there, cat urine all over this house, and what happened to this house? Like, that's the
You
issue
say that
here.
like it's a bad thing. I love cats. I don't need cats over dogs, baby, all day.
Time for my favorite segment. Time to get antisocial. We got the smartest guy in college football, maybe all of football.
Thank you, sir.
Marcellus Wiley.
And
Joe Platt.
Right.
We got Darnell Smith here, Joe. Joe, you know Darnell.
Of course I do. What's
Go
going
way
on?
back, man.
Normally when I'm in, though, he's just bringing Marcellus's hat to him. For thinking
I done got an upgrade, Joe.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I just learned something new. Did you know that Darnell, when he reads, he actually lips it out? Is that a good thing?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Got to be sure.
I don't know about that. I'm trying to figure that
All
out.
right, Darnell,
Anyway.
walk us through these Twitter streets.
Yes, sir. We were starting the NFL with the story that's been in the works for a while, but just went viral on Twitter. Former All-Pro defensive back Charles Peanut Tillman graduated from the Federal Bureau of Investigations Academy in 2018 and is now working as an FBI agent. It even caught our own Carissa Thomas off guard, who tweeted her support for a former coworker. So proud of my former colleague. What a story. I thought it was pretty cool to see this, but is this the craziest post-football career you've ever seen?
Let's Carissa Thompson for one, but
We said Thomas.
we got a Thomas out
I
there.
told you,
Carissa Thompson.
move them lips.
But no, I don't. I think Nate Newton went into pharmaceutical sales right out of the NFL.
Yeah.
And
I fell for that. It wasn't even legal then. I was like, yeah, he did.
I was looking over.
Wait a minute.
so, I mean, Nate Newton went into pharmaceutical sales.
Oh,
And so
man.
I don't-
Man.
You can call it that.
I guess Peanut Tillman would have
call it
caught
that.
Nate Newton.
Peanut gonna find Nate.
Yeah, he is.
They gonna say it's
They're
legal
going to
now.
meet up.
No, this is very impressive.
This is impressive. Why is it though? Because guys translate and go into different things all the time. Even law enforcement. I have a couple teammates that are now sheriffs and law. Why is this one so like
FBI? Special agent of the FBI?
Yeah,
Men
I'm
in
really
black?
asking a
You know,
question.
what do you-
Yeah, shoot, I don't know. I mean, I think it's impressive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, because you've got to think about how much you've got to humble yourself to go back to the academy and start from ground zero, right? I mean, to then get back there.
Yeah.
I mean, post-career, listen, I know this is a fun segment, but obviously Pat Tillman. You know, I think that was incredible. And then outside of that, I thought of Herschel Walker doing the MMA. And then Steve Young. Guys, Steve Young, yes, we think that his main gig is just being on television. It's really not. He is a senior partner at one of the largest investment companies in the country and probably makes more money than anybody in the western half of the United States. I know maybe people don't know that, but Steve,
that's out the bag.
Steve Young is killing it in the investment banking world right
How about Roger Staubach?
There you go, commercial real estate.
That's the move.
There
That's
you
the
go.
move I want to make. You know, doing that.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Yeah, staying in the NFL, Cowboys defensive tackle David Irving is about to be a free agent and went on a rant last night on Instagram saying, "I'm not in the NFL because I'm an Eagle Scout or the perfect model citizen. This is God's plan, not mine." Now, we all know Irving has had multiple off-the-field issues, violating NFL's drug policy and dealing with suspensions at the start of the last 2 seasons. Do you like him being this authentic, headed into free agency?
No. I wish he were a bit more humble or a bit more like, I need to be a better person if I want this career to reach its full potential. Because he's surviving on talent right now, and if he were a bit more of a model citizen, he might be an even better player.
Yeah, you can't out-talk your indiscretions because those are actions. So stop talking and let your game speak for itself. It has. So now you just got to sit back in peace and calm and let that monetize itself in free agency. This is the time to drive slow, homie. Like Paul Wall, Kanye said, drive slow. Do not do a thing that can ruffle any feathers in ownership of any team.
I totally agree with you. You got to understand what's most valuable about yourself. If it's your brand, tout the brand. Be out there on social media. If it's your play and your brand and maybe off the field issues are not quite squeaky clean, let your play be out front. So just put all that by the wayside. And like you said, drive slow. Couldn't agree with you more.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Yeah, yesterday on The Herd, Joy Taylor had a very interesting take on Lincoln Riley. Take a listen.
I know everyone talks about the NFL and the NBA, and it's just like that's everyone's goal. First of all, it's not everyone's goal. Everyone doesn't have the same aspirations. And second, college has so much more stability. To be able to know that you're going to be somewhere for a couple years and be able to raise your kids in the same community and not have the stress of dealing with an owner, and there's a whole different level of expectations and things that come with the NFL. If he's happy, he's happy.
Joe, I'm gonna start off with you.
Yes.
Do you agree with Joy here?
I agree 1,000% with Joy. And it's not just Lincoln Riley that's an example of this. David Shaw at Stanford is an example of this. Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern is an example of this. I think we're going to get Lincoln Riley, who he succeeded. Bob Stoops was an example of this. Listen, a guy like Lincoln Riley is going to make more money and I think ultimately impact more people as the head coach of Oklahoma than if he goes and just takes the first NFL gig that opens up. First of all, you don't know who your quarterback's going to be. You might not be able to be that selective with who your quarterback's going to be in the NFL. Meanwhile, he's going to make between $5 and $8 million for 15 straight years. I mean, we're talking about major financial impacts, and also on the kid side, of the personal side of things, you can impact people to a greater degree in the college level.
Yeah, I mean, at the top, the job security is greater, and you make the same amount of money.
If not more.
Yeah, if not more. And you talk about the private jet experience while you're recruiting. Oh, who wants that?
You live in Norman.
And then
You live in Norman.
Oh, man, look, there's some cities in the NFL you got to live in, too. I don't want to point them out like Green Bay, but, you know, I pointed it out. Here's the thing. You also get rewarded for success. You get to go and get blue-chip 5-star players when you win it all. Where in the NFL, you get punished when you win it all. So, no, I stay in college.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Joy. I think the guy's happy. And he produced back-to-back Heisman Trophy quarterbacks. Why leave?
Why leave?
All right, it's time for Darnell's question of the day. Darnell, take it away.
It's Darnell. My guy. My question of the day. My guy. My question of the day. 285 pounds. All right, guys. How you got a question, Joe? What you laughing at, Joe?
Yeah, Darnell with the cell phone in the beginning.
I mean, listen, I like my favorite part when you got out of the squat rack.
Yeah. 605 right there, some big weight.
Oh,
yeah, he was lifting.
That a boy.
Pounding them.
All right, so the fans want to know on Twitter, they ask, what's your favorite movie of all time and why?
Mine's easy. It's Godfather 1. I've probably seen it 120 times. I can watch it anytime. I can watch it 2 days in a row and still love it. I probably watch The Godfather 3 to 6 times a year.
I'm going to go with Good Will Hunting, a janitor who is working at MIT who's actually smarter than all the other students
All of them.
there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it really felt like growing up in my community and how, like, I didn't know it all, but I was like, I can do a lot of things if I'm given the opportunity. And he was struggling to find himself. And then finally, not only did he find who he was, he started to admit all the greatness within him. So that movie just makes me cry every time I see it because of opportunity.
Man, that was way more profound than what mine's gonna be.
Right.
Now I'm a little embarrassed about. Listen, The Big Lebowski is my favorite movie. I love The Big Lebowski. Walter Sobchak, Donnie, everything about it. Here's the caveat, though. You cannot watch it and understand it the first time. So if you're going to watch it for the first time, you got to give yourself at least 4, 5, 6 screenings before you're like, oh, I get what's going on, and then it becomes more and more funny each time you watch it.
Pulp Fiction's like that. You gotta
Yeah,
keep
there you
watching
go.
it.
There you go.
I'm going to tell, I've never seen The Big Lebowski, and I know
Yes,
it's...
neither. Neither. I was going to sit there and say, you go first. I don't know what you're talking
I've
about.
never seen it either. I've never seen it.
Racial.
Donnie, you're out of your element. Market 0, dude, next frame.
What's it about in short?
It's a comedy,
Everything.
right?
It is a
life?
comedy.
Yeah.
It is. You could say it's a bowling movie, but it's not really a bowling movie. It's about socioeconomic,
Okay.
yeah, and living in L.A.
PBA on Fox on Saturdays. I watch it.
I'll just add this. I think when I thought about this question, I think 7 of my top 8 movies are all mafia related.
Interesting.
Coolie High is the only movie in my top 2 or 3 that's not a mob movie. Godfather 2 is probably my 3rd favorite movie.
Ooh, I haven't seen Coolie High either, so racial back at you. Darnell, what's yours?
Coolie High?
Nah.
I gotta know what Darnell, after watching him squat the whole building, what's Darnell's favorite?
All right, so I'm going on another angle. My favorite movie is Money Talks. Chris Tucker, Charlie Sheen is one of the funniest movies of all.
is funny.
Whitlock, don't make that face.
It is funny, but it's not a great movie.
That's
That's your favorite movie of all
That's
time?
my favorite movie, Whitlock, so it's hilarious. I probably watch, he disappointed.
Banzai.
Right,
He walked up to the
my favorite part, he got on the helicopter when they broke off the bus. He was cracking up loud. You can drop me off right here. We got some Kool-Aid, some cornbread. That's my favorite.
What's number 2?
Yeah.
I would say probably Scarface.
Okay, good.
Scarface, yeah.
There you go. Back on the rails.
Yeah, but in order, right?
Whitlock and Wiley, Joel Klatt, and Mark Schlereth are back. Let's move to Kyler Murray, sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places. There are still a lot of questions about where the Heisman winner will go in April's NFL draft. And while the undersized quarterback may not be getting any taller, apparently he's getting wider, reportedly bulking up to 206 pounds, leading into this week's combine, a full 10 pounds heavier than his playing weight at Oklahoma. I think this is a mistake. I think I don't want little C.J. Anderson at quarterback. I don't think an extra 10, 12 pounds is going to make a difference in terms of him taking hits in the NFL. I'd want him to be as mobile and as quick as he possibly could be at the quarterback position. I think putting on the weight is a mistake.
Oh, I think this is a smart play right here. It certainly will help. Don't forget what the combine is. It's like a modeling audition based on some measurables. And if you're a guy who's coming out with question marks, you want to rig the equation of size, speed, and how that ratio looks. And how do I know that? Because I rigged the damn calculation myself. And I knew I had question marks because of the competition I played against in the Ivy League. So what happens? I'm 255 when I'm playing. I get to the combines, I'm 272. A lot of fake weight. Muscles, of course, because I'm 21 years old in my prime, but a lot of raw potatoes and water and just working out. Next thing you know, a couple double days lead to 272. Then a month later, it's pro day. I rig it again. I'm 282. 282 from 255, same guy, ran faster than I did at 255 because you're putting on muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. This guy's not getting wider, he's getting leaner, he's getting stronger, and he's gonna be able to put up measurables that they're not gonna be able to deny because of that size-speed ratio.
Yeah, well, this is, and you're right, you're manipulating kind of the formula. But here's the thing, NFL teams, and you have to understand this, are stupid enough to buy into it. Because you won't hold, you're not gonna hold that weight.
Right.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I always say this, football is not hard for football players. It's extremely tough for athletes, right? This is an athletic competition. When was the last time you ran a 40? During your pro day.
Pro day, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How many years did you play?
10.
I played 12 years. The last time I ran a 40 was the last team I ran a 40 for. I played 12 years in the National Football League. I never one time, once I became a player in the National Football League, did I ever run a 40? Did I ever do a vert test? Did I ever do a 225 bench test? Did I ever do an eye test? Did I ever do any? Why? Because it's inconsequential. Can you play or can you not play? This is nothing more than a drill to see what kind of athlete you are. And the teams who fall victim to stopwatch drafts are the idiots that every year are 4-12 and can't figure it out. Watch film. Can the kid play or can the kid not play? Whether he's 196 or 206 doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
But it will to some teams. Some teams are dumb enough to buy that.
Yeah, that's a frustration from my seat is that I feel like there's a lot of organizations out there that are checking off these boxes in order to say, okay, now we'll draft you, rather than just say, can you play the position that we want to draft you to or not? Because I can tell you this about Kyler Murray. He's the best available quarterback in order to make your team better immediately. Dwayne Haskins might have the higher upside in the future, but if I'm talking about next week, is my team better if I draft this player?
Why do you say that?
Because Kyler is
He's
ready
only
from a schematic standpoint. He understands the game a little bit better than Dwayne does. I've spoken with both of their coaches. Obviously spent a lot of time around Ohio State and Oklahoma. The schematics that Oklahoma was using under Lincoln Riley was a little bit more geared to what the NFL is going to be doing, in particular in his early career as a rookie, as opposed to what Ohio State was doing and trying to morph towards, because remember, that was very much an Urban Meyer offense that was having to morph towards Dwayne Haskins. So there was a lot of things that were watered down. Haskins also has trouble with his footwork. And once he gets that developed, then he'll be a more accurate passer down the field, whereas Murray is ready tomorrow to play in the National Football League. Now, whether he's going to have a better career or not, I think remains to be seen between the two players. But they're the two best quarterbacks, and there's three things that I think a quarterback has to do now in the current day of the NFL to succeed. Distribute. And then the two things on top of that are on time and on target. I think the days of saying, well, if you're 6'5" and you can distribute, now we'll draft you, those are over. Yeah. Look at who's succeeding right now in the National Football League. Russell Wilson and Drew Brees. Pat Mahomes is not a giant. He's barely 6'2", right in there. Let me tell you something about Pat Mahomes at 6'2". He can't see either. Okay, because the offensive linemen are giants, so everyone's saying he can't see. How many passes gets batted down for Kyler Murray? I can tell you 5.
Yeah.
The exact same number that Dwayne Haskins had batted down at the line of scrimmage. This guy makes your team better right now. I said this earlier, and I'm going to say it again, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree. As a runner, Kyler Murray is the best running quarterback that's ever come into the National Football League. Even Michael Vick. You can go back and watch, which I've done. You can also look at the stat sheet. Kyler Murray in his last season or in his last 2 years at Oklahoma averaged 2 more yards a carry than Michael Vick did in his career at Virginia Tech. He's just a little bit more dynamic because of his short area quickness. The last thing I would say is he's one of the best passers to go along with that athleticism as a runner that we've ever seen. His accuracy is off the charts, not quite Baker Mayfield, but it's off the charts. If I'm in the top 5, I'm taking Kyler Murray. Dude's a football playing Jesse.
And you got to understand that those who are thrown off by his size. I remember Warwick Dunn when he came in the league, and he was listed at 5'9", 180. And every defender's like licking their chops. Oh, I can't wait to get on him. Played 12 years in the league, 3 Pro Bowls, and I never got a square shot on him, and I never seen anybody else get one. It's just, like you said, Sproles, that short area of space. When you get into that phone booth with that guy and you think you have all the advantage because of your size, that quickness, he's going to take 4 steps before you take your next one, and he's going to be out of there. And I think that's going to play into
I think the real interesting thing for me is I always think about default mechanisms of the quarterback, okay? And the default mechanism, if your default mechanism is from the neck up, you'll survive. Even being smaller, even being athletically gifted, even being able to move around. If your default mechanism is from the neck down, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm just going to take off and run around here and throw my body, throw caution, my body into harm and all those things, throw caution to the wind. Like, if that's your default mechanism, and so then it comes down to who's actually a gifted quarterback. Because the gifted quarterbacks, when things break down, they'll extend the pocket, they'll move around, they'll even escape the pocket, but they're going to make their decision from here up.
Joe,
and can he do that? And I think he can.
Yeah.
Joe, we got a little time here, but my concern, I don't like him because he's short, and then the other thing is not enough starts.
Okay.
And what is your response? Because you've given the greatest defense or argument for Kyler Murray that I've ever heard. Not enough starts in college.
Candidly, that's my biggest issue as well. It's not the height. The height, it makes no difference to me at all. It is the starts, and I'll piggyback on you because but that's why there's no great quarterback available in this draft. They're either not the requisite skills or they don't have the requisite what I would call preparation in terms of repetitions. Dwayne Haskins and Kyler Murray are clearly the best 2 skilled players at the position. Both of them have a lack of reps in the college level. Just real quick, if you go and you look at all the players that have won a Super Bowl ring at that position right now currently in the NFL, on average, those players, quarterbacks, the Tom Brady's and the Nick Foles and Drew Brees, on average, those guys started about 33 games in college and attempted around 1,100 passes. Neither of those guys are going to come up to that level, so you're going to have to take a jump if you're one of these teams that will take them early.
So I'll add this. Just by my eye test, Dwayne Haskins a far better runner than Kyler Murray. I'll tell you that. Coming up. All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. Dante Jones is back with us. Let's return to the NBA, where LeBron announced last week he was activating the Lakers' playoff push, but it doesn't seem to have kicked in yet. LA is now just 1-2 since those comments, and according to an anonymous NBA executive, LeBron bears a lot of the responsibility, claiming that LeBron's very public push to acquire Anthony Davis, quote, killed the Lakers' chemistry. Is there any truth here is the question, and I kind of say no. And I say that because I believe this team was DOA from day one. I believe that this whole mentality coming into this year was about next year and just surviving this year. And the survival looks ugly and disappointing, but I just don't. The chemistry was going to die at some point because it never been about this year.
Let me say it again because I've said it before, maybe it fell on deaf ears. The Lakers would have been better this year without LeBron James. And it's happening as I predicted. You're talking about a team that last year went out there and won 35 games without LeBron. That was maturing. That was coming close. Still dealing with injuries and their youth experience, but they had a chemistry. They loved each other, bond of brothers. And they were growing together. Then you put the cherry on top of thinking this was LeBron James, and this team right now is going to struggle to win 40 games, on pace to win fewer than that. Who knows if they even eclipse 35 games. They have 29 wins right now. I know LeBron's been injured, but what's really injured and fractured is that mojo. And then you look at the team, if you want to dive a little deeper into it, the young core is playing well in terms of Kuzma and Brandon Ingram, and those are the guys that were on the trading block. So where does this end in terms of the LeBron experiment? Those young players also know that it probably won't end in the Lakers uniform. So everything got disrupted by LeBron landing on the Lakers when this was a young team in the Golden State model of letting them grow, letting them go, and figure it out later. that this team would have matured to something better than this.
Golden State model of letting them grow and figure it out later also signed a free agent with a max contract in Andre Iguodala. Like, they added pieces to that. They added free agents that made that work. However, the Band of Brothers were so close because they had no expectations on them. They had no accountability to win. They're just going out there having fun playing basketball in the city of LA. So I got a great job. I'm getting paid well. I get to go out there in front of the greatest fans in basketball. Like, okay, cool. But when you got the win and when you're held accountable on winning on a nightly basis, that rattles a lot of people's feathers. Yes, the trade rumors, having so many people involved in trade rumors did rattle this roster. Rattled some
You
people.
believe this? You agree with this exec?
I believe that, I partly, that so many people, usually it's like one or two guys in trade rumors and they have to get their stuff together after the deadline. You got 5+ people involved in the trade rumors,
And they
not
kept
knowing where they're
adding
going to go. And then the immaturity of the roster, the youth of the roster, not their age difference in the gap, the roster construction, the guys that the trade rumors were around, they can't bring it together in a short amount of time.
Let me go there with you, though, or help me understand this. Because just last night, let's call it a one-off, but Ingram played well, Kuzma played well. Then you go look at the stats of the Lakers with and without LeBron on defense.
Okay.
And that seems to be the big deciding factor. When LeBron's on the court and healthy, they play virtually no defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They're at the bottom of 25th or something like that in the league. When he's not there, they actually play defense. So I don't believe the young guys have been destroyed by this. The ingredient is, I'll go all the way back to LeBron's indifference, particularly on the defensive end.
And you have statistical analysis to prove that. Like, he's not been there on the defensive end at all this year. He hasn't been making the right rotations. The effort part of it, we do agree on that. That's something that he has to be better at, that for them to be a better basketball team now or next year. If they're going to be a championship level team, he has to bring the effort on the defense on a nightly basis, and that's team defense. He doesn't have to go out there and stop people, but he has to be everywhere because the guys grab energy from him in according to responsibility on the defensive end, and that's something he hasn't given this year.
And this is something that plays out in many locker rooms, and it's crazy because I played with some aging stars, and you're still looking at the film in hopes of seeing their bio. Like, everything I know about you is just going to be exampled every time I watch you. But that's not the case right now, and that does fracture any locker room that's healthy. When you're looking at the old vet who gets to get away with everything and barks at you, and you're like, bro, I'm watching film and I don't see you. You're getting pushed under the rim on box-out opportunities. You're missing key free throws, and you're just not showing us collective effort. That's fine. But then you talk about now getting rid of me, and everyone's going to go and run with the narrative that I'm the problem when I can't call out and raise my hand and say, it's you, LeBron, but you can do that to me on a nightly basis in front of everyone in this arena. I think that's what's going on emotionally.
Okay, but Marcellus, couldn't you also say that these young guys, Kuzma, Ingram, I'll single them out, the trade rumors have actually made them focus and play better rather than being damaged by the trade rumors. They've actually, okay, well, let me show you. And they've shown some pride and some urgency and have actually shown up, in my opinion, particularly on the other end of the court, LeBron James.
LeBron, and that talks to when you're looking at the screen and you want to be led by that great. And he said, activate. Let's activate. And then LeBron is picking his moments of activation where they're like, I'm young enough to do this the entire 48. And I think we're just getting into that place of inequity where you're like, you just getting away a little more than necessary, especially when I'm getting put out there as part of the problem.
To me, you should be seeing videos of young guys drinking with 2 Chainz late at night, not old guys. Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval rating for LeBron James. Uncle Jimmy, what do you have on your head?
It's just a public service announcement. Right now, we're looking for one leader for the Lakers. He was last seen at the Staples Singers.
Staples Singers?
Not it. It's where the Clippers play. Come
Look, man, we're going to talk about you're a milk
There's a video of him with Melvin Staples, I'm just telling you. Getting old.
Let's take a look at a highlight from our discussion earlier about LeBron. LeBron is a social media animal. He has 47 million Instagram followers and 42 million Twitter followers. Those are the platforms and the stages he performs on most passionately. It's no longer a basketball court.
This is Kobe 2.0 without all the optics of effort. So LeBron James is just in the same conversation as many athletes before him. You're biting off a little more than you could chew. Look like you're trying.
All right. We were pretty hard on LeBron earlier today. You've been a LeBron supporter.
Man, first
what's
of all,
your take?
I watched that game last night. I'm going to be 100, man. It's time to check the Carfax on LeBron James.
Ooh, Carfax, where you going with that?
For real. The check engine light's on, Mark Ellis. It's time to check the Carfax, man. You know, Jason talking about LeBron don't care about basketball. Nope. You got to check the odometer. Bron got a lot of miles on him, man. You know, I mean, if I'm Magic in the Lakers, hey, man, I'm going back to that used car salesman in Cleveland, Dan Gilbert. I'm selling him back his 2003 LeBron James S500. Trade him in.
You ain't trading on LeBron. You crazy. You ain't trading that.
No, I'm not. Check the Carfax. Hey, man, everybody done drove LeBron James. Dan Gilbert, Ty Lue, Spoelstra, Pat Riley. Hell, Pat Riley put 100,000 miles on him in 4 years. Man, Magic don't know nothing about driving a used car. You know how we do. Magic don't even check the oil, man. It might as well be a Greyhound. He just jump in and ride. Hey, man, listen, here's what you do. Trade LeBron right now while some fools still think he got value. Send him to New Orleans for Anthony Davis right now.
Lakers ain't doing that.
Heck no.
You can't trade LeBron.
Why not?
He has a no trade clause for one.
Yeah.
So a no trade clause can be broken. Coaches do it all the time. I would sue Dan Gilbert for fraud. They sold the Lakers a lemon. LeBron was supposed to be in a Tesla. Now he's just a hot Messler. He was supposed to be in Kim Kardashian. The Lakers got Chloe, y'all.
Oh, stop that. I like those.
Hey, man, half of the NBA done been in LeBron's backseat. It's over. Check the Carfax, Merkulis.
Check the numbers. 26, 7, and 8, still putting up digits. What you talking about?
He's a 2003 S500. Yeah, it can still do 100, 120, but it's gonna shake. You can't go on a long distance trip with it, and the team gonna end up 500. What you think the 500 stand for in the SE 500? When the season end, you gonna be 500.
Right now, they hope they find.
They're about to say, this is a 420?
Sweet black
There might be a 420.
I had a 420.
A C-class 420?
All right, let me get to my approval rating for LeBron. He's dropped from all-star status to a role player.
Oh, man.
I docked him 2 points from yesterday for job performance.
Yeah.
The effort on defense is just indefensible. Everything else stayed the same. A total of 69. LeBron James now a Robert Horry-like role player.
I don't want to say that because, I mean, look, he's...
Because I love Robert.
Yeah, his effort's just not up to his standard right now for whatever reason. Maybe he is truly bitten off more than he can chew. I don't know what's going on. He's spread too thin. I did drop him 2 points as well. Still an all-star, still LeBron James, still a great player, but those, even offensively, some of the moves, a little stale, like a
You
Tonka
excited
truck.
about this album? Laker boys like trap music? February isn't just about one supersized football game. On Spotify, there's thousands of free sports podcasts that agonize over the preseasons, off-season, and plain old regular seasons of nearly every sport imaginable. Basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, curling, and even hurling. Yes, that's a real sport. Now it's so easy to stay updated with the latest rumors, predictions, and scorching hot takes from some of your favorite game's biggest names. So take it one episode at a time and give 110% of your attention to the thousands of free sports podcasts on Spotify, because the best offense is a good podcast.